Hello students, today we are going to start our fourth chapter from your book First Flight, and the name of the chapter is From the Diary of Anne Frank by Anne Frank. So let us begin with introduction first. This lesson from the Diary of Anne Frank is an excerpt from Diary of a Young Girl or the Diary of Anne Frank. It is an autobiography that was first published in 1947. In this, Anne expresses her thoughts in a diary which was gifted to her on her 13th birthday. She names the diary Kitty, which she considers as her only true friend. She mentions about her childhood, her family, and a lot other things that she told no one else. Now, let us begin our chapter without wasting time. Writing in a diary is a really strange experience for someone like me. Not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing and I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. Here, musings, it means a period of reflection or thought. In this paragraph, the author Anne Frank feels that it is strange and unusual for her to write in a diary about her feelings and experiences because it was the first time she was doing it. She feels this because she thinks that in the future no one would be interested in reading about a young school-going girl's past. She thinks that later even she will not be interested in reading it. But then she puts these thoughts away and decides that she should write if she feels like doing so. She feels the need to write because there were a lot of thoughts she had been holding on to lately and she needed to get them off her mind. It is known that writing one's thoughts acts as a therapy. She makes the decision of writing a diary. Now, next paragraph. Paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying no one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. I finally stayed where I was, brooding. Yes, paper does have more patience, and since I'm not planning to let anyone else read this stiff-backed notebook, grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a bit of difference. Now I'm back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. I don't have a friend. In these lines, listless it means with no energy or with no interest. Brooding it means engaged in or showing deep thought about something that makes one sad, angry or worried. Prompted it means provoke. In these lines, the author feels that paper has much more capacity to absorb thoughts than people. People have low patience level, but a piece of paper, being non-living thing, would not refuse from absorbing her thoughts. This realization came to her one day when she was feeling more sad and confused than usual. She could not even decide whether to go out or stay at home at that time. When she finally decided to stay at home, she said, being depressed and in deep thought, again she thought that paper had more patience and she decided to write everything that came in her mind, because she did not intend on making someone read it unless she found a real friend. By real friend, she meant a friend with whom she could share all her secrets. The author then comes back to the point where she thought of beginning to write. It is because she is lonely and has no friend to talk to. Now, next paragraph, let me put it more clearly. Since no one will believe that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world, and I am not. I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. I have a family, loving aunts, and a good home. No, on the surface, I seem to have everything except my one true friend. All I think about when I am with friends is having a good time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary, everyday things. We don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. Maybe it's my fault that we don't confide in each other. In any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately, they are not liable to change. This is why I have started the diary. In these lines, confide it means to tell personal things privately to a person that one trusts. Liable it means likely. Here in this paragraph, Anne then goes on explaining why she feels the need for a friend. She feels that no one is going to believe that a young girl like her is so alone, which practically she is not, because she has a loving family, near about 30 people that can be called friends, loving aunts, and a good place to stay. This depicts a clear picture of a happy family, but the one thing that lacks in her life is the presence of a true friend with whom she can share everything. She does have a good time with friends. They talk about stuff but not real stuff that is actually going on in their lives. Despite trying hard, they are unable to get closer. She feels that maybe it is her who is not able to trust anyone with her private stuff, that she is not able to come any close to her friends. She feels that the current situation cannot be changed, and thus she needs to write her feelings in the diary. Now, next paragraph. To enhance the image of this long awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary the way most people would do. But I want the diary to be my friend, and I am going to call this friend Kitty. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I would better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. Now, in these lines, enhance it means intensity, increase, or further improve the quality, value, or extent of. Plunge it means jump or dive quickly. In these lines, usually when someone is writing in a diary, they list down all the facts about them in a formal manner, which the author does not want to do. Anne does not want to do this. This is because she wanted to give her need for a friend a shape, and thus decides to name the diary as Kitty. Hoping that someone would read her diary one day, she thinks that writing without giving details about the background story would be ineffective. So, despite not wanting to do so, she gives brief details about her life. Now, next paragraph. My father, the most adorable father I have ever seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. My sister Margot was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. I was born on 12 June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margot and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. Margot went to Holland in December and I followed in February, when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margot. In these lines, adorable it means lovable or cute. Emigrated it means leave one's own country in order to settle permanently in another. Plunked it means to put down. In this paragraph, Anne refers to her father as the most lovable father one could get. Her father married her mother when he was at the age of 36 and she was 25. She and her sister Margot were both born in Frankfurt. As soon as Annie turned 4, her father moved to Holland, followed by her mother in September, while both the sisters stayed with their grandmother in Aachen. Margot was also sent to Holland in December, followed by Anne in February, who was brought as a birthday present for Margot. Now, next paragraph. I started right away at the Montessori Nursery School. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Cuperus, the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in the tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation, so my birthday passed with little celebration. In these lines, farewell, it means an act of parting or of making someone's departure. In this paragraph, in Holland, Anne was sent to Montessori Nursery School. It was her first school. She started from first form, from first standard. She had Mrs. Cuperus, the headmistress, as her teacher in sixth form, in sixth standard, who even cried at the time of farewell. In 1941, the author's birthday could not be celebrated well because her grandmother fell ill and underwent an operation. Now, next lines. Grandma died in January 1942. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other, and Grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of 20 June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. Here, intended, it means planned. Solemn, it means characterized by deep sincerity. Dedication, it means commitment. So in these lines, unfortunately, Annie's grandmother left them in January 1942. Annie misses her grandmother more than anyone knows. This year's birthday was to be celebrated with great zeal so as to compensate for last year's. She then mentioned that her family is doing well, which sums up her background and brings her to the present date of June 20, 1942, when she is writing her diary. Now, next lines. Saturday, 20 June 1942. Dearest Kitty. Now, Annie started writing a diary. Our entire class is quaking in its boots. The reason, of course, is the forthcoming meeting in which the teachers decide who will move up to the next form and who will be kept back. Half the class is making bets. GN and I laugh ourselves silly at the two boys behind us, CN and Jax, who have staked their entire holiday savings on their bet. From morning to night, it's you are going to pass? No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. Even GS pleading glances and my angry outburst can't calm them down. If you ask me, there are so many dummies that about a quarter of the class should be kept back. But teachers are the most unpredictable creatures on earth. In this paragraph, quacking, it means shake or tremble. Staked, it means bet or chanced. Pleading, it means to make an emotional appeal. Glances, it means take a brief or hurried look. Outburst, it means a sudden release of strong emotion. Dummies, it means an object designed to resemble and serve as a substitute for the real or usual one. Unpredictable, it means not able to be predicted or changeable. In this line, on June 20th, 1942, Annie begins writing in her diary, addressing it as her friend Kitty. She mentions how her entire class is nervous about their results. It is unpredictable and will be decided by a meeting of teachers in which they will select students to be moved to next class or kept back. Many students were making bets. Some had put in their entire summer savings at stake. She and her friend G also made fun of the nervous boys. They kept on saying to each other that I'm not going to pass, while other would be console them and say, yes, you would. G was polite as she tried to stop them from making noise while N.A. scolded them, but none of it worked. According to N.A., about a quarter of class should not be allowed to pass because they hardly respond or take part in any of the activities. She refers to them as dummies, but this may not be the case because teachers' decision can't be predicted. Now, next paragraph. I'm not so worried about my girlfriends and myself will make it. The only subject I'm not sure about is maths. Anyway, all we can do is wait. Until then, we keep telling each other not to lose heart. In these lines, not to lose heart, it means not be discouraged. So the author says that she is not bothered about her friends because she is sure that they will pass. The only subject that she is unsure about is mathematics. She seems to be having a tough time with the subject, but all they could do was wait for the results and not lose their hope. Now, next paragraph. I get along pretty well with my all teachers. There are 9 of them, 7 men and 2 women. Mr. Kissing, the old fogey who teaches maths, was annoyed with me for ages because I talked so much. After several warnings, he assigned me extra homework, an essay on the subject, a chatterbox. A chatterbox, what can you write about that? I would worry about that letter, I decided. I jotted down the title in my notebook, tucked it in my bag, and tried to keep quiet. In this line, old fogey, it means an old-fashioned person. Annoyed, it means slightly angry or irritated. Chatterbox, it means a person who likes to chatter, who is very talkative person. Jotted, it means write quickly. So now she tells how she has a great relationship with all her teachers except the maths professor. He was constantly irritated by the author's talkativeness. Despite several warnings, N.A. did not stop talking in his classes, which prompted him to give her extra homework as punishment. The first one was to write an essay on chatterbox, which she thought was a weird topic to write on because what could one write about that? For the moment, she wrote the topic in her notebook, kept it in her bag, and focused on staying quiet. Now, next paragraph. That evening, after I would finished the rest of my homework, the note about the essay caught my eye. I began thinking about the subject while chewing the tip of my fountain pen. Anyone could ramble on and leave big spaces between the words, but the trick was to come up with convincing arguments to prove the necessity of talking. I thought, and suddenly I had an idea. I wrote the 3 pages Mr. Kissing had assigned me and was satisfied. I argued that talking is a student's trait and that I would do my best to keep it under control. But that I would never be able to cure myself of the habit since my mother talked as much as I did, if not more, and that there's not much you can do about inherited traits. So in this paragraph, ramble, it means to talk or write at length in a confused or inconsequential way. Convincing, it means capable of causing someone to believe that something is true or real. Trait, it means quality. Inherited, it means derived genetically from one's parents or ancestor. In this paragraph, the author came across the note she made as reminder for the essay after she had finished the rest of her homework. She began thinking about the topic. While chewing the tip of my fountain pen is a gesture that signifies a person is in deep thinking. While anyone could mention random stuff written for the sake of filling pages, she wanted to present concrete arguments in support of talking. She mentioned that she will try to better herself as a student, but talking is something that cannot be eliminated completely. This is because she got it as an inherited trait from her mother, and this is how she ended up writing 3 pages on the topic of a chatterbox. Now, next paragraph. Mr. Kissing had a good laugh at my arguments, but when I proceeded to talk my way through the next lesson, he assigned me a second essay. This time it was supposed to be on an incorrigible chatterbox. I handed it in, and Mr. Kissing had nothing to complain about for 2 whole lessons. However, during the third lesson, he would finally had enough. Anne Frank, as punishment for talking in class, write an essay entitled "Quack, Quack, Quack," said Mistress Chatterbox. In these lines, proceeded it means to begin a course of action. Incorrigible it means not able to be changed. Mistress it means a woman in a position of authority or control. In these lines, the professor found Anne's argument to be amusing, but when she did not stop talking in the next lesson also, he gave her yet another assignment as punishment. The topic was an incorrigible chatterbox. Incorrigible refers to a bad habit that is difficult to change. He gave her this topic because he was annoyed of her unstoppable chattering during his lessons. On receiving this assignment, the professor did not say anything to her for a while, but when he lost his patience, he handed her yet another assignment as punishment on the topic "Quack, Quack, Quack," said Mistress Chatterbox. Now, next paragraph. The class roared. I had to laugh too, though I had nearly exhausted my ingenuity on the topic of chatterboxes. It was time to come up with something else, something original. My friend Sene, who's good at poetry, offered to help me write the essay from beginning to end in verse, and I jumped for joy. Mr. Kissing was trying to play a joke on me with this ridiculous subject, but I would make sure the joke was on him. Here, roared it means laughed. Exhausted it means completely used up. Ingenuity it means the quality of being clever, original, and inventive. Verse it means writing arranged with a metrical rhythm, typically having a rhyme. It means a poem. Ridiculous it means deserving or inviting derision or mockery, here absurd. In these lines, when the professor scolded her for the third time and punished her, the whole class started laughing. As a result, she had to pretend to be amused too. After writing twice on similar topics, she ran out of thoughts. Thus, her friend Sene, who was good at poetry, offered to help her write in rhyme. This whole assignment scenario was to make Anne feel ashamed, but she made sure that she gave an effective reply. Now the next lines. I finished my poem and it was beautiful. It was about a mother duck and a father swan with 3 baby ducklings who were bitten to death by the father because they quacked too much. Luckily, Mr. Kissing took the joke the right way. He read the poem to the class, adding his own comments, and to several other classes as well. Since then, I have been allowed to talk and haven't been assigned any extra homework. On the contrary, Mr. Kissing's always making jokes these days. Yours, Anne. So, at the end of this chapter, Anne finally wrote her third assignment in the form of a poem, which turned out to be great. She wrote a satire that a father swan beat his three baby ducklings to death because of their noisy nature. To her good luck, the professor took it lightly. The professor recited the entire poem in front of the class while giving his own remarks simultaneously. The author, being fortunate enough, talked uninterruptedly after this incident without any further homework as punishment. Also, Mr. Kissing, the professor, started cracking jokes every now and then in front of the class. So, in this lesson, in the beginning, Anne talks about being lonely and having no one to talk to despite being surrounded by family and around 30 people whom she called her friends. Thus, she takes the decision of writing her feelings in a diary. It is unusual for her to write in a diary, but she is really in need of a true friend. Thus, she decides to name her diary Kitty, and unlike other people, she is not going to mention just facts in it. She starts with writing her background to make it easier to understand for anyone who reads this letter. She describes her family and early childhood when they all migrated, her early schooling. After giving a brief account of her background, she comes to the present day where she tells us about the result day. Everyone in the class is nervous about the results and boys are even making bets. Anne was quite sure about herself and her friends. She had a good equation with all the teachers except her maths professor, who was constantly annoyed at her for her talking habits. Thus, he started giving her punishments in the form of essays on weird topics such as chatterbox, to which she replied with full wit. She wrote essays that were funny and explained that this was a trait that she inherited from her mother, and not much could be done about it. He kept on giving her essays until she wrote a satire. After that third and last assignment, Mr. Kissing never pointed her out for talking. So with this, our fourth chapter, The Diary of an Anne Frank, is completed over here. Thank you.